experienced something weird that made me consider that the paranormal exists. In this experience, I received the most horrible phone call in my whole life. This happened to me when I was 16 years old, so practically 6 years ago. The summer holidays just began, and an incredible opportunity to have fun showed up. My parents got invited to a wedding that was held in another city. The bride, who was my mother's niece, asked her to come early in order to help for the preparations, and my mother agreed. The problem was that my parents didn't want me to stay home alone for 3 weeks, even if I was old enough. I tried every day to convince them that I was mature enough to stay alone several weeks, but they were impossible to deal with. You've never done something like this before, and it's a huge responsibility, my mother repeated over and over again. Fortunately, at least I thought so, a chance appeared. A cousin of mine, who had an internship in my city, was looking for a place to crash in. I was able to convince my parents to help him by offering him to stay in our place. And since my cousin was 23 at that time, they agreed to leave me with him. I couldn't believe the chance that I had, since I had several weeks without any parental supervision, and also since I got to share them with one of my favorite cousins. He was always kind and playful with me as he supported my childish behavior, but he was also very witty and liked to play tricks on me. One day, around 8 p.m., I came back home from a friend's birthday party. I just entered the house and headed to my room in order to change my clothes. I called for my cousin while heading there, but no answer. Once changed, I wanted to play some video games, and so I went to the living room. While heading there, I peeked inside the guest room and found that my cousin was asleep while facing the wall. I found it strange that he was sleeping this early, but I thought that maybe he was just tired from his internship and wanted to rest a little before preparing the dinner. I played about 1 hour before receiving a phone call that I ignored, assuming that it was just my parents. 2 minutes later, I received another phone call, and when I checked my phone, imagine my surprise when I saw that it was my cousin who was calling. I couldn't understand why he was calling me while he was home, and I suspected that he was trying to pull another prank on me. Amused, I picked up the call, and it was something like this. Cousin: "Hi, are you home?" Me, while laughing: "Yeah, I'm home and I'm hungry." Cousin: "Yeah, I'm really sorry. I went to do some groceries and met some friends. But don't worry, I'm at the supermarket right now, and I'll be home in about 1 hour." I didn't understand what he was talking about, and thought that he was still on his joke. Cousin: "I'm sorry, but can you remind of the name of that sauce you wanted me to buy? If you're too hungry to wait, then just look for some leftovers in the fridge." Me: "Okay, it's really funny, but the joke is over." Cousin: "Joke? What joke?" Me: "Look, I know that you are home. I saw you sleeping in your bed." Cousin: "What? I think you're the one who is trying to pull a joke here." While talking, I started to feel anxious as a bad feeling started to grow up inside me. My cousin was always proud of his pranks, but here he kept denying. Annoyed a little bit, I walked to the guest room and looked inside. I saw my cousin still in his bed and still facing the wall in the same position as earlier. Me: "Here, I'm looking at you right now, so stop this." Cousin: "Are you kidding? Here, look at this." As he finished his sentence, I received a picture, and in horror, I saw my cousin standing in front of the supermarket with a huge grin on his face. At that moment, I thought that my heart stopped beating as I felt cold sweat all over my body. Cousin, so convinced yet. Hello? I couldn't speak. Even breathing was difficult as I stayed there like a statue, my back towards the guest room. Cousin, are you still here? Hello? Me, having problems to talk properly. But I just saw you in the guest room. Cousin, what? Are you serious? I need to know if you're talking seriously. Me, yes, I'm near the guest room and I just checked. Cousin, run! Get out of the house! I was bewildered at my cousin's sudden shouting. Without understanding, I started running and looked behind me one last time and saw that my cousin's bed was empty. I ran down the stairs while screaming in fear. I arrived to the door and couldn't open it as earlier I locked it with my key. In horror, I knew that my key was in my room upstairs. Fortunately, I remembered that there was a double of the keys inside a pot in the kitchen. The moment I grabbed them, the light in all the house went down. Screaming in terror, I tried to find my way while following a wall. I couldn't use the flashlight of my phone as I dropped it earlier when I was running. While I was struggling to find the keyhole, I started hearing the sound of light footsteps coming down the stairs. During this incident, I was actually thinking that it was mad or crazy person that broke into the house. Finally, I was able to open the door and went outside, and while jumping over the fence of the yard, I heard something heavy fell in the ground, causing a huge commotion. I remember that I was shaking in fear as a neighbor saw me and noticed that something was wrong. I don't really remember what I said to him as I was in shock, but minutes later the cops arrived, and while they went checking inside the house, one of them stayed with me and asked me about what happened, but couldn't get anything understandable from me. 30 minutes later, my cousin arrived and handled things with the police while I was zoning out. Until now, I can't understand what really happened that night. Was it just a weird person that broke inside my house? The police didn't find anyone, but found the cupboard in pieces in the kitchen. Or was it something else? That night, I was sure that it was my cousin who was lying on that bed, even if he was facing the wall. All what I can say is that I never want to experience something like that again. Fortunately, nothing happened after that, and I moved out from the house with my family 2 years later.